So this is going to be my first video in a series to help young, ambitious men learn from my mistakes. As you can see, the name of my channel, The Seasoned Loser, hopefully, catches the eyes. And my goal is if I can just help one, two young men who are ambitious and share the same ambition as me, learn from my mistakes, learn from my downfalls. In my YouTube series, I'm going to come up with a number of topics, real estate investing primarily, as well as credit, banking, stock market, women, and addiction. So currently I own two rental properties that are underperforming and pretty much failing as I am trying to work through it. I'm going to start by discussing how someone can get started in real estate investing and how someone can avoid my mistakes. So first I want to go over leverage and going after certain properties that you think you can afford, but you can't. And having a contingency plan for when that backfires. So you're seeing and flooded with all of this knowledge, information on YouTube. On one end of the spectrum, you have Robert Kiyosaki, who says, take on all of this debt. They're printing money, leverage and leverage and leverage up and refinance. And the reality of that is that debt's very hard to handle, both financially and psychologically. It is very taxing and depressing. And if it's not a perfect environment, which for residential real estate usually is the case, then you will utterly fail. A number of people I've met in my professional career have levered up to 14, 20, 25, 30, 50 million in residential assets. And if that bubble bursts, you have a series of defaults, then you will utterly pretty much have to declare bankruptcy because you're way too over leveraged. Fortunately, I'm at a point where it is relatively manageable on a fairly competitive salary. I work at a bank, so I'm compensated fairly well, given the labor statistics average for U.S. household income. So I would, try to help some people who are looking to invest in real estate. Start very small. Start, $200,000 property, $150,000 property. That way, if you have a full-time job and it goes south on you, you're not, left with this bag, as they call it. That is, my experience. Some people get very lucky and become very successful, and they're in the right market and demographic, and everyone pays their rent on time. And I've personally have done 2 evictions, and it's very time consuming. Legal costs are very expensive. It's very detrimental to your mental health and what you're tackling. It's a ton of debt. You see people go on Dave Ramsey, I'm 100,000 in debt, I'm 80,000 in debt, usually consumer credit debt. But the reality is, if you lever up on these assets, as they call them, assets can turn to liabilities very quickly. And if they're not performing and you run into a few problems, things break, you need replacement costs, you need a contingency plan. And if you don't have the backing of a wealthy family, and you've saved 30, 40 grand, and from your job, and you're looking to roll it into real estate, be cautious. Be weary of, the downside. Looking at a given property, I have a tremendous amount of experience in commercial real estate. And the reason commercial real estate works is because they have commercial grade tenants. And those commercial grade tenants are, a Popeyes, a KFC, a Sephora, a Nike store. And those companies have tons of money, and they have corporate guarantees. And those net leases, as they call them, which I'll go into in another video, are what people can use as, guarantors for bank loans and other stuff like that. If you're going into residential real estate in your city or in another city or in a low income city, there is a pretty substantial default. 20% of renters are behind on rent currently. The current economic conditions aren't great. And in a lot of cities, there's a lot of tenant favorable laws in place, and your recourse is very little. So you want to avoid that. And on the other end of it, scaling into commercial real estate is incredibly expensive. Your average net lease purchase price is about $2.5 million. Commercial loans work a little differently. You usually need 25 to 30% down, upwards of 50% down for certain scenarios, depending on the cap rate, which is the percentage of return on the commercial real estate building reference to the price, which is usually how they're resold. So to scale into that is very difficult. It's usually institutional investors that are in that space and that are, able to have access to a tremendous amount of capital that the individual would never have access to. So people build a residential portfolio over a series of time. I thought that I was very knowledgeable and didn't really see the risk associated with it. Now you're flooded with YouTube shorts and, Grant Cardone and Robert Kiyosaki, buy an asset with $900 out of pocket, get started today. All those people got rich by selling you products on how to get rich. In reality, Grant Cardone and Robert Kiyosaki have a tremendous amount of debt service that they have to make. And they feed you this information basically on their success stories that pretty much will not work. You got to remember, Robert Kiyosaki's in his 70s and Grant Cardone is in his 60s. So if you're in your early 20s, or you're a teenager, 18, 19, maybe you just started working, maybe you have a good job, or you graduated from college and you're getting your first job and you're frustrated with the pay, my advice would to be invest in the S&P 500. Do automated investing. There's hundreds of different apps. JP Morgan Chase, Merrill Lynch all have automated investing. Fidelity has automated investing. It takes your emotions out of it. Looking back at the financial losses that I've taken on the stock market trying to get rich quick, it doesn't work. There's no secret. There's no shortcuts. With the whole cryptocurrency space, a lot of people have gotten very lucky and they have sort of been able to capitalize on that, and good for them. Hats off to them. Hopefully they can take that capital, move forward, get their life started, invest it in businesses and real estate. But you don't want to over leverage yourself and have this tremendous amount of debt. And personally, I have close to $1 million in real estate debt. And given the interest rates and given the current economic conditions, if you run into trouble, it's very expensive to refinance. It's very expensive to get yourself out of a hole. Granted, I now have, some real estate equity, and I plan on, liquidating the assets and moving into a different space, a different type of real estate space. My advice is to not deter from real estate completely, but I bit off a lot more than I could chew. I used a lot of debt, and taking more of Robert Kiyosaki's approach of they're printing money, but it's good to have some cash. it's always good to have a reserve. And, I got obsessed with investing and obsessed with um, trying to build wealth. And, I thought that I was smarter than everybody. And, I looked at people who were just saving in their bank accounts as foolish because, as the core price index, CPI, comes out, and, inflation is through the roof. It's, you're flooded with it between, CNBC and all the media out there, and you go to the, gas pump at the grocery store and everything's through the roof. So, you want to hedge against that inflation. And the reality is it takes a tremendous amount of time to build wealth. And, looking back at my mistakes, if you're 18, 19, 20, I didn't really know about these products, but you could start a Roth IRA. So, if you're 18, try to save $6,000 a year and, set that aside. By the time you're 25 years old, that'll have grown substantially. Even with the market conditions, the S&P 500 always rebounds. Even if you see a crazy crash, it always rebounds. Don't be fooled, don't be drawn in to the get-rich-quick schemes, because, me and my friends have fallen into that kind of trap. And, you're flooded with this information and, Instagram and other social media outlets, seeing all of these people, living this extravagant life. And some of them have gotten very lucky, or maybe not necessarily lucky, but I've seen a tremendous amount of success in YouTube or business. And, this video is to not deter you from that. I'm, encouraging investing, encouraging starting businesses, encouraging, you trying to do something, but don't put all of your eggs into one basket, and don't have all of that levered up debt, because it's immensely stressful. It's very taxing, and, very hard to navigate through, especially, at a young age. So, this is the first video of my YouTube series. I'm going to touch on very specific points in real estate and credit, getting your credit score up, what those credit factors are, to, look at somebody and have everybody kind of learn from my mistakes, because I have just taken an exponential amount of loss on, both bad loans, hard money, refinances, stock options, foreign exchange. I've done it all. Any way that you could possibly make money on your phone, drop shipping, affiliate marketing, sales, remote work. I've done it all. So that's my goal. Maybe I'll get some views on this first video. Maybe I will be able to help some people. And, that's my goal for this whole series, is to just deter people from making tremendous financial mistakes in their early 20s, in their mid 20s, and, kind of build a base that way. There's people that come on all the time. You see, 33-year-olds, 38-year-olds that have normal people that have normal salaries, and they've become as, normal millionaires, just by following the right steps and following the right guidance and sticking to a plan. Because if you don't have a plan, it's just kind of, erratic, and, you'll fall on your face. And I want people to, learn from all of the mistakes that I've made. So I'll touch on a number of topics, hopefully, that will help a ton of people. Maybe if I help 5, however many I could help, I'll be happy. And then, I'm going to leave the comment section. Knowing YouTube, I'm sure there'll be some hate, as there always, is when you go in any comment section. But if anyone has any questions, I have a tremendous amount of experience in lending and banking and unsecured lending. So feel free to reach out in the comment section, and I'll, try to answer you in a quick manner. But that's it for now. Hopefully I'll upload the next video soon. I'm going to start in the commercial real estate space and the lending space. Thank you.